Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for stopping by. Ubisoft has made an attempt to pull the curtain back on what's supposed to be coming for the Division 2, and we've got a lot to cover. Between the Gamescom panel called From DC to Brooklyn and Ubisoft's own dev team, we've got alleged confirmations, teasers, and roadmaps all the way through March of 2026. And from what I could gather from the live stream, Ubisoft is not intending for this to be just fluff. Now, today's video is going to be a bit lengthy, as I have included the full section of the Division 2 for you to watch, in case you missed the stream. I'm going to hold off on my take until the end of the video. I will, however, break the video down in chapters so you can skip sections or skip the whole thing and get straight to the part of the video where I opine about all things. But please, stick around for the whole video. There's a ton of information here. And before we get into this, a quick but very meaningful thank you to all my supporters, members and subscribers. You've helped me evolve this channel into what it is and what it's going to be. From going over the tiny details of the builds you've been thinking about, to news like today's videos, I'm here because of you. So thank you. Okay, let's do it.
Hello, agents, and welcome to our special panel From DC to Brooklyn. Here we will take a look at what we've achieved this year and what lies ahead. I am Anise Palm. I am a community developer, and I will be your host today. Whether you're a veteran or just joining the fight, here's a quick briefing. Tom Clancy's The Division 2 is a tactical RPG action set in the world rebuilding after a devastating pandemic. You play as an elite agent of the Strategic Homeland Division, a group of civilian operatives activated to restore order when society falls. Today, we will discuss the Battle for Brooklyn and our upcoming seasons. Don't forget that tomorrow will be the day we share with you an update regarding our new upcoming Division 2 project. But first, to dive deeper into what happened this year in the Division 2, let me introduce our panelists. Yannick Bonchereau, our creative director.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
And Andrea Kosarev, our art director.
Hey, hey.
First, to warm you up and everyone to get to know you, let's start with some official introductions. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What is your role on the project? How long have you been here?
Sure. I'll go first. That's okay. Hello, everyone. Super happy to see you. I hope all of you have played The Division at some point in your life. If you haven't, it's not too late. You can still do it. We have many years ahead of us, so now is a good time to start. My name is Yannick. I'm the creative director on The Division 2. I've been with The Division for a bit more than 10 years now. Was just talking with you earlier, and you've been here since the beginning with us. Thank you. Maybe some of you here. I started as a community developer myself on the first game, and now I'm the creative director. And what that means for us on The Division 2 and on a live game, especially as creative director, is my role is to try to give an overall vision to the team on where do we want the game to go, what do we want to implement into the game, what experiences do we want to create for you, and then try to help guide the team in building the best experiences and the best game we can make.
So from community developer to creative director, maybe that's the next step?
Yeah, well, that's a career path for you right there.
Yeah, we'll see. Andrea, what about you?
Well, hello again. I'm super happy to be here and super nervous. So, not everybody is like Yannick.
You're gonna do fine. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah. So I've been in the industry for 9 years or such, and I've started out as an artist at Ubisoft Romania, and then I've worked on multiple titles, including Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Rainbow Six Extraction, and for the last 4 years, I've been working on the Division 2, and for the last 3-ish as an art director for the Division 2 Live. And my job as an art director is basically to take the creative vision, the big creative vision, and transform it into art pillars. And then I work closely with the art team, but the other teams as well. And I make sure that everybody, builds towards the same purpose, towards the same visual goals and the same experiences we want for the players.
Nice, Andrea. Thank you. Yannick, you mentioned that you've been here since the beginning. What to you makes the division so unique?
Well, there's many things. I almost want to ask you in the room what makes the division unique. But I think to me, it's there's something very special when you take a game like the Division that can offer experiences that are, an online RPG co-op experience that is about loot, that is about gear, that is about challenges and all these kind of things. But putting that into a world that is authentic, that is relatable to everyone, that are streets that we know, that is a world that we know partially, at least transformed, but still based on reality. Managing to marry those two things together allows us to create an experience that I believe is truly unique and allows everyone to find something they like into it. You can like the world, you can like the mechanics, you can like the story. There's a lot of things that the Division has to offer. It's a game that does a lot of things, and I think everybody gets to find something in particular that they like.
Same question to you, Andrea, but let's focus on your expertise in art. So what in the art direction DNA do you find unique about the Division?
Well, I think first and foremost is recreating the real places. We take pride in recreating one-to-one the cities, in this case, Brooklyn. And of course, integrating landmarks and iconic locations of those cities is a big part of this, and it's super important. Being anchored in reality, and last but not least, the richness and detail that we put into the world, because all this layering of stories, I hope you've experienced this whenever you stop at the corner of a street and look around. There are a lot of small things to notice, small stories to see there, and I think all these together make the world the main character of the game.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful game, and working with community, I get to not only experience it in the game, but also through the photo mode that we have this whole subcategory of community. Yes. So if you haven't checked those out, check them out. It's beautiful shots.
But of course, the best thing about the Division, it's the players, right? It's all of you people, even those who haven't played yet, you don't know yet, but you're probably a fan of the Division too. So this is the number one thing, even better than the game itself.
For sure. Thank you for these answers. Now, the Division 2 released almost 7 years ago, but this year has been quite a year with a new DLC, Battle for Brooklyn, that came almost 5 years after the Warlords of New York. Yannick, what inspired the return to Brooklyn?
Well, we wanted to bring a new piece of world to the game. We set out to do a DLC. We really were inspired by the idea of how do we make this world even bigger? How can we create new streets, new places to explore? As you said, it had been 5 years, or by the time Brooklyn came out, it's been 5 years since the last expansion. So we really wanted people to get back to the thrill of discovering new things, being surprised again. So we wanted a new place, and we started thinking about where could we go? What would be an interesting location for us to do? We knew we wanted to stay within New York and Washington, D.C., because we felt like there was still a lot of stories to tell and still a lot of things unexplored there. So we explored around those spaces. We looked at a lot of different areas. But then somehow almost, magically, someone just threw out the idea of what about Brooklyn? And I think that, I remember that moment. The moment that person said that, it kind of all clicked. Suddenly, we all realized, yes, Brooklyn is the right place for us, because what Brooklyn gives us it's an opportunity to explore or to go back to kind of the roots of the Division. It's almost a love letter to the Division 1. As a reminder, this is where your experience started on the Division 1, you remember. And so being able to re-explore that, to bring all those elements of kind of all those references, that nostalgia, all those places that people may remember from the first game, but then add a whole layer of transformation on top of it. Like tell a new story. What happened to Brooklyn? What is different? What are the things, the stories, the events that people who live in those places have been going through? So putting those things together made the place the best candidate for us, and the overall thematic actually for the DLC itself, which is this mix, this marriage of the old, the references, the nostalgia, and the transformation, and the new, and the world of the Division 2. So those two together made it like just a no-brainer decision.
Yeah, both new and returning players have found that setting and story inviting and have already experienced it. And many legacy players see that nostalgic, side to it and loves it. So I have to say, mission accomplished. Andrea, when you're recreating a real place like Brooklyn and then transforming it, what goes into that process creatively, just both for you and your team? Like, how do you research and what do you do?
Well, that's a great question, because since the world is super important to the game, we wanted to do it justice, and we wanted to really understand the city, not just mimic something that's there. So of course we had to do a lot of research, and the research started with watching loads of videos, taking virtual tours, watching urban photography, street photography, but also looking into the history of the city, its architecture, to basically understand why it looks the way it looks, and to basically help us transform it further. Even so, for example, the two name zones that we have, they originate from the Division 1 area, but they're more than that. We have, for example, Brooklyn Heights, that's a former residential area, and then Dumbo, that's a former industrial area, and that has helped us focus more the stories we want to tell to those specific types of places.
Cool. We're seeing a lot from the community doing like comparison shots with real places, and we actually had a very atmospheric video with Brooklyn locations, and that was the best performing asset from the community team. So we're seeing a lot of love for your work here.
I think it's one of the best things is just watching people explore those streets and seeing the care that was put into recreating them, into building, putting a lot of details, and again references to the history or references to other things, and even some people from Brooklyn looking at those streets be like, hey, I recognize that street, I recognize that house. I think it's always super gratifying for us and for the work the art team does.
Yeah. So this time, Brooklyn is in autumn. So visually, it's a big change. But there's also something nostalgic here for the Division 1 players who has been, walking the streets before. Can you talk about how you approached creating a Brooklyn that is both familiar and fresh?
Well, creatively, we knew we wanted to go to Brooklyn. We knew we wanted to do autumn, and then we had a big picture of the story, and then having all these ingredients, we start asking ourselves, what's happening here? What is happening? What's the best place For example, the community of Brooklyn is a big part of the story, and we started asking ourselves, how they would relate to the place. And this is where the research comes in, because, of course, to show the community being active in the world, we had to think about what they would do different. Usually, the world of Division is messy, it's dangerous, it's quite chaotic, and of course, if we would have people here that would care for the place, they would clean it up, they would organize it, and they would basically take care of it. And moreover, the way they use each and they set up in each of the name zones is tailored. So, for example, in Brooklyn Heights, where we have the residential areas, they're using the inner courtyards of those buildings to set up water collection devices and to set their camps there. And in contrast, in Dumbo, there are lots of industrial buildings, big buildings with big flat roofs, and we thought those would be great places for rooftop gardens. Basically, they need to earn their livelihood. They need to grow food, and of course, since we're in autumn, there are also pumpkins. I think the players have noticed the pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
which we can destroy.
Yes.
You can blow up the pumpkins.
Yes, you can blow up the pumpkins.
A lot of technical work went into the explosion of the pumpkins.
Yes.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Yes, actually it did. But autumn is not only about the pumpkins, it also connects with the story. It's a way to emphasize the story, for example, because we picked that moment in autumn where everything is really beautiful and really colorful, and with yellows and oranges and browns and nice yellowish light there. And I think this kind of matches with the optimism that the community brings to the story. And of course, autumn isn't all about nice weather. It's also rainy and can be also dark, and that connects to the other part of the story with the threat that comes in to Brooklyn. And last but not least, everybody remembers from Division 1 the snow. It's snow everywhere, but visually snow works to offer contrast, to show the way, to show what's important in the scene. And we wanted to echo that in Brooklyn, in the way we used autumn and in the way we used the leaves, especially on the ground, which we tried to, help the players' eyes through the scene.
You mentioned story there, and I want to dig a little deeper. I mean, it dropped in May. So I think that we can deserve to go into some spoiler territory. If somebody has not played Battle for Brooklyn yet, or are very spoiler sensitive, you can cover your ears or mute for those watching the stream. I can do a little wave when we're done. So Yannick.
Yeah.
Yes. Tell us about the campaign structure and story here. And Andrea, please jump in when it comes to missions. Share everything that you wanted to share pre-release, but you couldn't.
Okay. I feel like I want to ask, how many people did play Battle for Brooklyn? Oh, that's not bad. Those who did not raise your hands, if you intend to play Battle for Brooklyn, which you should because it's amazing, cover your ears. Or don't, it's fine. But yeah, so going into story a bit here, when we built Battle for Brooklyn, we decided to to approach a couple things a bit differently. We knew it would be a limited experience in size. So one decision we've made is to actually approach the story in a linear fashion, which for a Division experience is a bit different from what you may be used from Division 1 or Division 2 or Warlords of New York. Those experiences are usually very open and you get to choose in which order you can do things. And for Brooklyn, we thought, okay, what if we try to do it in a different way? What if we actually dictate the order in which you do the missions and everything. And there's a few benefits doing that for this kind of experiences. But in particular, it gives us the control over the pacing and over what do you experience when. So it allows us to create moments in the story, like surprises and ups and downs and all of that. So it allowed us to try to create an experience that was a bit more focused and something that's a bit more directed. And it in a way, that's what allows us to also bind things together. If you've played, again, Battle for Brooklyn, you may remember you do the cleaners mission in the refinery, and at the end of that mission, we tell you, oh, something's happening at the settlement, we're being attacked, you have to come. You finish the mission, you teleport, you come back to the settlement, and then you find the settlement actually being attacked by the Rikers. This is something that we can only do because we know you're going to be doing the cleaners mission first, and then we know you're going to go to the settlement. So creating those moments is what was enabled by this idea of creating a linear story. Another thing that we wanted to do, which I think came as a surprise to some of our most active players, was to, in a way, disconnect the story of Battle for Brooklyn from the seasons. And I know a lot of people were expecting, the seasons are building up to Battle for Brooklyn, and it's all going to conclude there. And that's not exactly what we had in mind, because one thing we wanted for sure is to make Battle for Brooklyn as inviting as possible for everyone. We wanted everybody to be able to jump in, no matter if they have played Division 1, Division 2, the seasons. We wanted them to still understand what is happening and not feel intimidated by the idea of, that's a 6-year-old game. I need to catch up with all the story before I do that. So we wanted to have something that was fairly disconnected, isolated. So you go there. We try to give you everything we can give you so you understand the story. You have all the elements you need. But then we still want that to actually be part of the bigger picture. So we do still create references in the story, in the collectibles, to things that have happened in the main storyline of the seasons. And of course, if you finish the DLC, you also know that at the end of the DLC, we've kind of dropped one final element that reconnects it to the greater plot and the greater story. So it's all, again, about trying to respect this the history and the new as well with our players, so respecting the time and the investment that people have put into following the story that we've been telling along those years, but also being welcoming to new players and to people that haven't been following all of that, still feeling welcomed and invited to that place.
And what can you share us about working on the missions?
Another thing that we do different in Battle for Brooklyn with regards to the main missions is the fact that they're not in the open world. The player has to travel there. So because of this, we really wanted to, for each of the missions, to have its own atmosphere that works together with the story. And of course, each of the moods are dangerous in a way, but in a different, in their own unique way. So, for example, at the refinery, we wanted to connect the atmosphere with the story there. You're traveling basically to the place where the Greek fire is being made. And, that's a chemical compound that's dangerous, and the time of day and the atmosphere kind of reflect that. It's yellowish, it's toxic, and we wanted all the industrial elements that those aren't pristine, they aren't new, they're kind of dirty, and together with the sky to kind of feel oppressing and icky in a way. And then for the art museum, for the Rikers mission, here it's a trap, and it's a trap because it looks sunny, it's very colorful, but once you get close to the museum, you can see all the defenses that the Rikers have put up. There's the turret as well that you have to dodge, and then inside the museum, we know that the Rikers they usually write messages on the walls, and they're an irreverent bunch of people, and we started thinking, well, what would they do if they set up camp in an art museum? What would their ideas about art be? So that's what helped us to, build this mission. And last but not least, here is the
big spoiler.
Yes, the army terminal. Here the mission starts with a lot of devastation from the hurricane, but everything is supposed to be kind of mysterious. You don't really know what's gonna be there, and we've built at least 2 moments of surprise in the mission. One would be when you first discover as a player that the Black Tusk are there. And the last is in the final beat when you really understand what's happening. Yes, the Zeppelin. But we wanted to...
It's a Zeppelin?
Have you played the DLC, Yannick?
No, what are we talking about? I don't know.
But we wanted to breadcrumb this. It's not... we didn't just want to do, big surprise. We have the cables. So the cables are this wire that kind of telegraphs the player that something is going to happen. And I think in general, we also want to reward the players that are coming back. So first, when you play the missions, when you play the DLC, there's the big level of understanding. But then when you come back and you look around, there are extra details, extra moments for the players to discover.
Cool. Okay, thumbs up. Spoilers over.
Spoilers.
Past. Okay.
Change to another picture maybe before.
Yeah, I mean, they could still see if they watch the stream.
That's true.
And if you enjoy these photos, they are from a recent art blast that we put up on social. So it's a very talented artists put this together.
Yes.
So, besides the release of Battle for Brooklyn, seasons are still ongoing in the Division 2, with their season Crossroads currently coming to an end. Yannick, what can you tell us about this upcoming season coming in September?
Well, we get the music introduction. That's perfect.
Perfect.
No, so yes, we are about to enter a new season. It's our second season. It's hard to focus. So the second season of the year, and that season is called the Pact. So now we can change. And so what this is about, without going into full story here, you will have to discover it as you play the season. But we find out that there is the beginning of an agreement between the factions. They've been fighting against us. We've been fighting against them for all this time. We've been obviously most of the time winning and defeating them. I hope you can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Yeah? Okay. I can't hear myself, so I don't know what I'm saying. So yeah, the factions have been we've been pushing them all the time. So now they're tired of losing, and they've decided to band together. So they are about to actually form a pact and an alliance and unite against us, which obviously we cannot let happen. One faction at a time is a thing. All factions together against the division is a big danger. So this is what this season is going to be about. It's about going back into the streets of Washington, D.C., and preventing that from happening.
And I think that we have something to show.
Yes, we do.
Yes, cue trailer.
Time and again our enemies have risen up. Time and again you've beaten them back. You've held the worst this world has to offer at bay. Carved out safe places where people can build new lives. But our enemies are getting tired of losing. Now, 3 of our greatest threats are joining forces against us. The hyenas, the outcasts, and the true sons. We've never faced a threat on this scale before. The streets of DC are on fire. You have to stop them. You have to break the Pact.
You have to break the pact.
That's what it said. You have to break the pact, in case you didn't hear. People online at least hopefully heard. So,
Can
yes.
you tell us a little bit more what's new to this season?
Yeah, so as this is about pushing against the factions, this is about the streets of DC. The idea of territory control is a very important part of that season, and a lot of the mechanics we have are about this. And it comes with one new feature that we call Retaliation. And that feature is a way for us to make the open world a bit more reactive to what you do. So as you fight the factions, as you push against the factions, in the world or outside of the world in the main missions, you're going to be basically building a bit of a negative reputation against the factions. And once you fill out a gauge for each of those factions, you're going to trigger a retaliation event, which means one of these factions is going to take over a name zone, or attempt to take over a name zone, and it becomes your job to go there and prevent it from happening. So a timer begins, and you're going to be operating under time pressure to try to go to that place and regain control of the name zone before the enemy faction does. If you do, congratulations, you will be rewarded. If you don't, you will also be rewarded, just not as much. You're always rewarded. And in terms of rewards, one thing we're doing is, with this feature, we're bringing a new reward scheme, which is going to be exotic blueprints and materials that are going to be allowing people to craft exotic items, to target specific exotic items. So if you're missing one item, if you've been chasing one item, this will be the way to actually predictably work towards obtaining it. So it's more fun in the open world, it's a more living and reactive open world, and great rewards at the end of it.
Yes, and the PTS test was last weekend, so players have already started trying out Retaliation. We gathered a bunch of feedback, and the devs are currently looking at it, fine-tuning and making it perfect for everybody in the hands soon. Andrea, something else that players can experience this season are new events. We have a Halloween event coming up. Can you share how you made that spookiness perfect?
Yes, a bit, only a bit. So we've been doing seasonal events for a while, but just this spring we started exploring a bit with visuals, and the Easter event with the bunny ears and all. And right now we're working on the Halloween event.
More pumpkins, yeah, more pumpkins. No?
What?
More pumpkins, Halloween event.
Pumpkins.
Yes, but different pumpkins.
Different pumpkins.
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't hearing you.
Will you be able to break them this time?
I will note that down. I will note that question down.
Some
and we'll
ideas,
see.
just,
Yes. Yes. But no, jokes aside, Halloween is super fun, and we're prepping for something that's a bit creepy but interesting. But I'm not gonna share too much about this, but just gonna invite everybody to tune in and play when we're launching it later this year.
Yeah, I'm a horror lover. I love Halloween, so I'm excited to see what you have cooked up. And, as usual, the new seasons will come with new global, active, passive, and hostile modifiers. And we will go through everything in detail on the launch stream the day before launch. That's September 8th, so tune into this stream. Yannick, is there anything you can tell us about the seasons coming next?
Okay, I'm not going to tell you too much because there's a whole season you have to play before we reach the one after that. But what I can tell you is, can I give the name?
Huh?
Am I allowed to give the name of the season?
Sure.
Thank you. The next season after... The next season after next, is that how you say? Is called Mutiny. What does that mean? What is this about? You will have to play the upcoming season to find out what comes after. But one thing that I can tell you is that with this one, we're exploring with new gameplay toys and new things to do. And one thing that will come as under the form of the modifier of this season is that you will be able to play with a companion NPC fighting alongside you. So that's going to be a lot of fun and a new way to approach the game for that season. And I'm very excited to be able to share more about that in the future.
Perfect, Devil. That's what I wanted to know. I'm very excited for this season. And it will be coming early December until March.
Yes.
And in March,
what
will happen then?
Well, in March, I mean, if you've been playing The Division, you know that in March, it's an important month for us. It's anniversary month. It's going to be 7 years of The Division 2, but more importantly, 10 years of The Division. So obviously, that's a date that we need to celebrate. So more on that soon. Also, it's going to be 11 years of me working on The Division, but that's not about me, but also an anniversary. But more importantly, 10 years since the release of The Division. So expect surprises and a big celebration.
Yes. And the new season will come with new opportunities for our community to interact with us. That's new content, more regular appointments with live stream, and also additional ways to get insights and talk directly to the dev team. More about this tomorrow. Yannick, speaking about the community. Now with the Lexington being back in stretch goals, will we see this weapon more often?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, maybe everybody will have the Lexington by the end of the Stretch Goals event. If you don't play the game, you have no idea what we're talking about, but that's okay. But Lexington, super cool gun. Everybody wants it. It's coming back. It's available on the live game right now. But in general, when we do these kind of cool items, it's not an intention for us to just make it a one-time thing and then nobody else can get it again. We want to make sure that on special occasions we bring it back. There's been such a strong demand for the Lexington. It's really become a fan favorite. It's my main weapon as well.
Same.
So yeah, we brought it back, and you can expect in the future these kind of items will always come back one way or another.
Yes. So to everyone watching, thank you for your continued passion and trust. The Division 2 continues to thrive for this community. Guys, did you hear that it might be snowing tomorrow? I heard something about snow.
I don't know, I just heard music. So.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget to join tomorrow. We will have a new panel that will be focusing on the future of the Division 2, community collaboration, updates on the Division resurgence, and whatever this could be.
Whatever
don't miss
this
it.
is, I have no idea.
You have no idea?
Oh, maybe I do. We'll see tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we now know when the next season, the Pact, is landing, how the new retaliation mechanic is going to potentially reshape the open world, and even some very early details about Mutiny, the season after the Pact. Oh, and did I mention March 2026 will mark 10 years of the Division? Ubisoft is already promising big celebrations, and the hints are starting to line up. Now, if you've been watching other creators cover this, you've probably noticed a pattern. Most of them just recite the bullet points. Maybe replay the trailer and call it a day. And that's fine if you just want raw info. But if you're here, you know I'm going to have a different approach. Now we're going to break this all down, but I also want to talk about what this means for you as a player. How will it affect your grind? How does it change the way you play the game? What signals is Ubisoft sending about the long-term future of the franchise? And because the roadmap and what we've actually gotten so far is so completely different to the original path before the 2019-2020 C word, I'm going to have some thoughts. Also, I'm going to approach this video with a lot of words like allegedly, intended, possibly, and potentially a lot. Because of, well, reasons. Ubisoft has made several promises in the last few years, and so many of them were not delivered for various and assorted reasons. So my video here doesn't come with a grain of salt. More like a wheelbarrow of salt. Now, before we talk about the brand new stuff, Ubisoft started their panel with a look back at something that's already out, the Battle for Brooklyn DLC. Now, at first glance, this recap might have felt unnecessary. Brooklyn has been out for a few months now, right? But there are some interesting takeaways here about where the devs team's head is at. First, the DLC itself was a milestone. It dropped 5 years after Warlords of New York. Now think about that. Half a decade between expansions. Most games don't even survive that long. For Ubisoft to still be investing in the Division content this far out may tell you something about the community's staying power. Second, Brooklyn as a location. Ubisoft floated a lot of different areas around DC and New York, but once Brooklyn was pitched, the team said it just clicked. And honestly, I guess that choice makes sense. It can be said that Brooklyn has character. It's dense, it's urban, it's iconic. It fits the Division 2 as an expansion of the New York area, sure. And if I'm being frank, other cities would have made more sense in the Division 3. Do I agree that Brooklyn gives us a new flavor? Well, no, but it made sense. Third, the design decision. The Brooklyn campaign was technically linear from a story is concerned. That's a huge departure from the Division franchise, which usually thrives on open exploration and branching objectives. Ubisoft wanted to tell a more focused story this time, and whether you like that or not will probably depend on what you value in this game. Personally, I see it as an experiment. A linear campaign gives them tighter control over pacing, but it also risks cutting away the freedom that makes the Division what it is. And finally, the narrative choice. Brooklyn's main story wasn't really tied to an ongoing seasonal storyline, and that surprised a lot of players. Some loved it because it meant Brooklyn could stand on its own. Others felt disconnected, like Ubisoft was splitting their attention. Either way, it shows Ubisoft is willing to try new approaches, and that's relevant as we look ahead for what's next. And so that's Brooklyn. A DLC that was bold in some ways, cautious in others, but it could be said that ultimately Ubisoft was attempting to make a statement that the Division 2 isn't done yet. Alright, let's get to the real headline. The Pact. This is Year 7 Season 2, and it launches September 9th. The core story is simple, and Ubisoft wants to provide an atmosphere that the stakes couldn't be higher. 3 of DC's biggest hostile factions, the Hyenas, the Outcasts, and the remaining True Sons, are sick of losing to Division agents. For years, we've picked them apart, mission by mission, boss by boss. However, only a few months in-game have gone by, and now those factions are forming an alliance. And look, in Division terms, this is potentially huge. Facing one faction at a time is manageable. Facing 3 at once, coordinated, could be more of a challenge. The devs apparently know that, and they're trying to lean into it. Now, the trailer we saw in the panel depicts this home. Manny's voiceover reminds us that time and again our enemies have risen up, and time and again we've beaten them back. But now, 3 of our greatest threats are joining forces against us. This comes with the line, "You have to break the pact." From Ubisoft's marketing point of view, I think they're attempting to say that this season isn't just more of the same old, same old. They're suggesting it's escalation, that the stakes are higher, that the threats are bigger. And the story they have is pushing towards something that they believe feels more like a war than a hunt. Now, for players, this potentially sets the stage for new kinds of fights. You'd face the possibility of not just battling Hyenas or True Sons anymore, you could be facing a combined enemy. And while the trailer doesn't show all that detail, we already see where this might be going. Mixed faction encounters, harder control points, more chaos on the streets of DC. Maybe even New York. So September 9th, the Pact. Could be epic. Could be meh. We'll see. Now, let's recap what Ubisoft wants to be the real game changer this coming season, and that's the Retaliation system. This is the kind of feature Ubisoft should have added years ago. Here's how it works. As you fight against factions, whether it's control points, missions, or other content, you build up something called an agitation meter. Think of it as like your reputation with that faction, except in the negative. The more you push them, the angrier they get. Once that meter fills, the faction retaliates. And I don't mean they just send a random patrol your way. No, they try to seize entire control points, even named zones. Suddenly, you're on the clock. You've got a limited window to respond, push back, and stop them from taking over. If you succeed, you hold the line and get rewarded. If you fail, they still take ground, and while you still get loot, it's not going to be nearly as good. I have added a link to the description of my coverage of the new system below in case you want a more in-depth briefing. Now, why could this matter? Well, because for the first time, the world of the Division could feel like it's fighting back. Up until now, the Division has mostly been about pushing outward, clearing control points, wiping out enemies, securing ground. Once it's done, it's done. The world was reactive in small ways, but not like this. In the small ways, as an example, if you were playing on challenging and you did activities around and connected to a control point, you would elevate the control point to a control point level 4. Retaliation potentially means the world can hit back. It could mean you can't just farm endlessly without consequences. And the rewards? Well, this is where it could be really interesting. And I'm not saying interesting is a positive or a negative. Retaliation introduces exotic blueprints. For the first time ever in the Division 2, you'll be able to craft exotics from scratch, which could be huge, especially for newer players to the game. No more endless RNG hoping for that one drop. If you're missing a specific exotic, Retaliation gives you a path to target it. Now, don't get me wrong, this won't magically make exotics easy. You'll still need materials, still need to put in the work, but the potential difference is you could have more control. You'll know that your effort is possibly leading somewhere. And in a game that has sometimes struggled with reward systems, this could be a big win. Of course, I have to add a note of caution here. Timed events can frustrate casual players. Not everyone can drop everything and respond to a retaliation the moment it pops. Ubisoft says you'll be rewarded either way, but the balance between good rewards and great rewards will matter. If the gap is too big, casual players could feel punished. If it's too small, hardcore players could feel like it's not worth the effort. And that's the tightrope Ubisoft has to walk here, but overall, Retaliation could be something the Division 2 needed. A system that makes the open world more alive, more reactive, and more rewarding. I've already had a conversation with my clan. I see most of us going into Retaliations until everybody in the clan has all the blueprints they need, and it'll be 50-50 whether we keep playing it or not. So it really has to really grab our attention. Alright, so let's move on to the events. Every season brings them, and this fall it's Halloween's turn. Ubisoft didn't give us much detail here, of course. The art director Andrea simply called it creepy but interesting. But even that tells us something. Back in the spring, the Easter event had enemies wearing bunny ears and carrying eggs you could pick up. It was simple, maybe even silly, but it was also more creative than some of the other filler events they've had before. I mean, I did run the Easter event on 2 different accounts, even though I thought it was silly as hell. The Halloween event seems to be building on that idea. Instead of just kill 100 enemies to earn a mask, you're getting cosmetic and environmental changes that make the game feel different. Pumpkins were mentioned, creepy visuals were teased, and while we don't know exactly what form it'll take, and at least this promise is clear, Ubisoft wants these events to feel unique, not just recycled. Does this matter? Well, seasonal events might not mean much to hardcore grinders, but for the casual players, they're often the thing that pulls them back in. They break the monotony, add some fun, and give the game personality, even if it is silly. If Ubisoft can keep events feeling fresh, not just checklists, but experiences, this could be a win. So, Halloween. Creepy, atmospheric, maybe even a little weird. Am I here for it? Well, for the wards, maybe. Now, after the Pact wraps up in the fall, Ubisoft apparently isn't slowing down. December brings us Mutiny, Year 7, Season 3. This is the one that has a feature I don't think anyone saw coming. A companion NPC. Yeah, you heard that right. For the first time in the Division 2, you'll have a seasonal modifier that gives you an AI ally to fight alongside you. Now, we don't know exactly what that means yet. Is it a warhound, a random soldier, a named character, another damned cat, a dog? A drone in the vein of Destiny? Ubisoft isn't saying. My first thought is it could be a similar mechanic as the AI squad you command in Ghost Recon Wildlands if you're playing solo. If that's the case, God, I hope I don't have to revive it like the captains going down during control point takeovers. That could be potentially a huge pain in the ass. Now, for solo players, this could be huge. Having an ally potentially changes the flow of combat, potentially adds survivability, and potentially opens up new strategies. For group players, it might not matter as much, but it could still be fun with added twists. And here's the bigger picture. This feels like a test. Companion systems are common in other games, but Division has always been about either solo versus group. If Ubisoft is experimenting with AI allies now, maybe that's a sign to what's to come in the Division 3. Maybe. Either way, Mutiny launches in December and runs until March. And with that, the Division world could feel very different. And speaking of March, that's when things are allegedly reported to get interesting. March 26 marks 10 years since the Division 1 launched, and 7 years since the Division 2. Now, in and of itself, that's a huge milestone, and Ubisoft made it clear they're planning bigger things. They didn't share details, no surprise there, but the language seemed deliberate. Expect surprises, expect celebration. And if you've been around the Division community for any length of time, you know anniversaries are hit and miss. Now, will Ubisoft actually deliver something major? That's the million-dollar question. Sometimes their big events land with a thud. Other times in the past, when the game seemed to matter to Ubisoft, they absolutely nailed it. I'll say this, though. The game is still alive. Celebrations should be big on love. For the game, the longevity, and the fan base. Please don't drop the ball like last time. So mark your calendars. 10 years, 7 years, big celebration. Let's hope Ubisoft gets it right this time. Alright, let's talk loot. The devs confirmed that the Lexington weapon is back during the current stretch goals event, and they also clarified something important. When they introduce cool items like this, it's not a one and done. Fan favorites will rotate back in future events. Allegedly. They said the same thing about rerunning previous season rewards, and we only got 1 or 2 of those. That's exactly what players have been asking for, though. No one likes FOMO in a looter shooter. If an exotic is fun, powerful, and beloved, it should come back around. Ubisoft seems to finally get that, and the Lexington is potentially the proof of that. For the long-term grind, this is good news. It means you don't have to stress out about missing a weapon forever. And it means Ubisoft trying to be committed to keeping the loot pool fresh without locking things away. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say the snowstorm. Ubisoft has been teasing snow for weeks. Snow in images posted to social media, snow in hints, snow in offhand dev comments. And during the Gamescom panel, they teased it again. The next panel is supposed to reveal the truth. So what is it? Well, some people think it's just a cosmetic event. Others think it's something bigger, maybe a return to New York winter vibes, maybe even a bridge to the Division 3. Some so want it to be survival so bad. Here's what we know. Snow is symbolic. It instantly brings back the feel of the Division 1. That cold, desperate winter in Manhattan is still the defining image of this franchise. If Ubisoft is teasing Snow now, it's not an accident. They know exactly what they're doing, tugging at nostalgia, reminding us of where it all started. And speaking of the franchise's future, Julian Garrity, the executive producer of The Division 3, was spotted at Gamescom. That's rare. He hasn't been in the public eye much since taking on the role. His presence there fuels speculation that Ubisoft is starting to set the stage for The Division 3, even while keeping The Division 2 alive. So, Snow. It could be nothing. It could be everything. Either way, we'll know more in the next panel. So here's my recap. The Pact launches September 9th, bringing United Factions and the new Retaliation system. Mutiny lands December, with a companion NPC changing how we fight. March 2026 marks 10 years of The Division, 7 years of The Division 2, and Ubisoft is promising big celebrations. Exotic blueprints are finally coming, Lexington is back, and the loot pool will stay fresh. And looming over it all, the Snow teaser, hinting at nostalgia, at The Division 3, or maybe something entirely new. Ubisoft is suggesting that the Division franchise isn't winding down. Question is, what are you excited for the most? Is it the Pact and the new Retaliation mechanic? Is it the Mutiny and the new NPC? Is it the 10-year anniversary celebrations? Or are you, like me, waiting to see if promises are really going to be delivered and tempering expectations? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Remember, we're on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. We're on X and Discord. There's merch to be had, folks, so check out the store. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, this is Hannibal, signing off.